We are recapping the fourth reveal of the college football playoff rankings and bracket. Stan Becton and Wayne Staats of NCAA Digital join me to break it all down. So, guys, the top 10 stayed pretty much the same with a switcheroo between Oregon and Ole Miss happening at 6 and 7. What stands out to you after the reveal? Stan, let's start with you.
From that top 10, that switch for Oregon and Ole Miss does stand out a little bit just because Oregon beat USC. I thought USC might have dropped a little bit because of the way Oregon beat them, but also Oregon's win over, USC isn't the same as Ole Miss's best win. So it's like, does it equate? But I guess it does when, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's some weird recency bias. It's almost like they forgot Ole Miss won at Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's ranked eighth, and that's a much better win than Oregon beating USC. So I'm not really sure why that swayed things that much. But I guess there's always things that it's hard to. I understand it's committee and people have different opinions, and that's just what the consensus was of the group of people. But from just at least from our perspective, that's now two of us seem kind of confused about that switch happening this week.
Stan, I was reading a little bit on your bracket predictions, and you actually had Texas jumping Vanderbilt and getting inside the top 15. Is that also a shock to you to see that it looks like Vandy stayed the same, Texas, moved up one spot?
Well, it was a shock because Michigan moved in front of Texas because I didn't think a win over Maryland is enough to move a team up over a team that didn't lose, but apparently the committee did. And it doesn't really make sense when you look at the new teams added to the bracket either with SMU, Pitt, and Arizona because those three teams Michigan didn't play. So it's not like their resume got a boost or anything. But I thought Texas should be above Michigan because they were above them last week. And then if Texas was above Michigan, it would go 14 Vanderbilt, 15 Texas, and Texas beat Vanderbilt head to head. And we've heard from this committee over and over again, they rank teams in pools. So the pool that they're jumping into would have had Vanderbilt and Texas next to each other. So Texas beat Vanderbilt. I don't understand. Maybe they moved Michigan up so they wouldn't have to deal with that. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would do something like that because it makes your job easier. But I mean, maybe that's what they did.
Yeah, just the pool thing is weird to me. Like I don't like the cutoffs. Like why is one team in one pool, one the other? Just because they're separated by one spot. Just a weird way. I understand it's a way for them to make their argument of why they did something, and you're splitting hairs of a lot of teams and 25 teams in particular with numbers next to them. But it just sometimes it seems confusing or a little surprising when they make these decisions. And sometimes they don't do something when it seems like they should do something. But again, I understand there's no it's different opinions in a room that can that they come up with a consensus. It's not like everyone in that room agrees about everything that's the rankings are, but I'm so surprised that there's consensus forming about some stuff like that one in particular, or even the age-old Notre Dame Miami question, which I understand people Notre Dame's playing well, but again, they beat Syracuse. I don't know why that's considered. Yeah, again, you can pick and choose and to make your argument depending on what you want to say, but it's the whole pool thing to me is kind of silly. There has to be some way to understand to order these teams, but using an arbitrary decision of which four teams are in a pool seems kind of interesting to me, at least.
And the committee chair said that, Alabama, BYU, and Miami were in a pool this year. I mean, this week. And Notre Dame, ranked one spot above them, wasn't. And that's just confusing to me because last week I'm pretty sure he said that Alabama and Notre Dame were in the same pool. So there was discussions about should Alabama drop below Notre Dame after losing to Oklahoma. That was a discussion last week. So they're in the same pool. But now this week they're not. And that doesn't really make sense to me, especially when you look at Miami and they've jumped over teams every week that they were ranked behind that also won their game. And I get the committee chair said after the first ranking that they needed to see Miami play consistent and that they've been doing that. So it's good enough to rank Miami over teams that also won but not get into the same pool as Notre Dame. It's not adding up really.
Well, let's dig into those at-large contenders as the bracket stands right now. Stan, you have an article later this week that will make the case for every at-large contender. So, which at-large team intrigues you the most from the most recent bracket reveal?
Right now, it would have to be BYU because they control their own destiny. So that could really change up the at large picture at the top of the bracket when it comes to like a Texas Tech. Because if a Texas Tech loses to BYU, or let's say BYU loses and Texas Tech somehow loses to Arizona State in that Big 12 title game, what does that exactly mean for Texas Tech and where they fall with 2 losses? Would they potentially fall out of the bracket in that case? So I think the Big 12 could get a little interesting, especially because they ranked Arizona at the bottom of the rankings this week, which means Arizona State and Arizona are going to be a ranked game too. So that helps the resume in the Big 12. It's a lot of stuff going on in that Big 12.
Okay, guys, I want to pivot a little bit and I want to take us to a rivalry week. That was really hard for me. Rapid fire question. So I've got a couple questions about rivalry week, and I've mixed in a couple Thanksgiving themed questions too. So I will ask them, and then you will need to respond as quick as you can and tell me why. You guys ready?
Not really.
Great.
Yeah, not really. We're going to be honest. Yeah, not really. We don't.
The
Well,
whole point is not to be ready. So
well, yeah, exactly. So, me and Stan sporting our Thanksgiving attire. So let's start out with the Thanksgiving side that you believe shouldn't be on the table.
Thanksgiving side. I've never been a fan of cranberry sauce. That's not really my thing. I feel like why are we having fruits at Thanksgiving? If we're gonna have cranberry sauce. Where's the applesauce?
I'll go that. I'll go cranberry sauce as well. I think it all depends too. Is like what's considered a side. I think depending on what region you're in, the country, or even just what a tradition is for your family, some have different ideas of what a side is. But I'm a fan of the sides more than the turkey. So if anything, I get rid of the turkey before any sides.
So who's winning this week, Tennessee or Vandy?
I'll say Tennessee. They're home.
Yeah, I'll go with Tennessee too. I think, yeah, go Vols. I guess is that what they say? I don't know.
That is
Yeah.
indeed what they say.
Vols. Go Vols.
Okay, guys, what time do you eat Thanksgiving dinner?
Not on time. So everyone says we're eating at 5, so just expect to not eat until 7. But if everyone plans to get there at 7, then now you're eating at 9. So you got to say an earlier time because everyone's not going to eat. Someone's always preparing their dish last minute.
That's a late time. I would say I don't know, a 3 or 4 maybe, I guess, if I had to pick an ideal
Yeah.
time. But I think it depends on too of how many people are going to be there, that kind of thing. And also like what's going on that day, travel, stuff like that. But if I had to pick an ideal time, it's that for Thanksgiving. But it's like you can't go wrong with any time. Although saying that's late.
5? I think 5 is just like because it's never during the first game, the Lions game. It's never during the Lions game, so that's over at 3. So it's always like during the Cowboys game because like growing up in a household that doesn't like the Cowboys, you always get to watch the Cowboys end up losing during that time we're eating. Like it's like in between. Like all right, mute the TV. We'll get back to watching the Cowboys lose after we say grace and stuff. So
Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
Ole Miss.
Ole
I mean,
Miss.
that's yeah.
Okay. No Egg Bowl craziness this year, maybe.
I mean, isn't kickoff
Yeah.
11 a.m. in Mississippi local time? So hopefully
All the
that
way
keeps
to
things a
start
little.
Vegas.
Yeah,
We'll get some craziness after the game, probably.
that's true. Yeah, with
Yeah.
the Lane Kiffin watch. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very true. Make that
Eat
decision.
some Dumbo for Thanksgiving, maybe.
Mm.
Ooh. Okay, guys, pecan or pecan pie?
I say pecan, so neither of those. But I don't eat any of them because I'm allergic to nuts.
Yeah, I don't think I eat it enough to really have a strong thinking. I think it's whatever. If I'm having a conversation, I'd probably just what the other person said. I probably would say the same way without thinking about it because I don't really eat it too much.
Okay, one last pick. Georgia or Georgia Tech?
I'm gonna go with Georgia Tech only because technically they're the home team and they don't have to travel.
Oh
as
yeah,
far.
all the
At
Tech
the
fans at the
Bends.
Bends.
Makes sense. Okay, guys, that about wraps it up for us. There is just one more CFP reveal before the selection show on Sunday, December 7th.